think we're live. I think we're doing it live. I think we're doing it now, and I think we're doing it live. I'm gonna have a drink. I need a drink. Pure quinine. Well, not quite pure, but you can't get pure quinine anymore. It seems to be a bit of a push in the market. Anyway, welcome everyone, anyone. Welcome to the gates of Delirium. Yes. The band's name is Yes. And of course, I can't play it because ultimately they'll take down the video for that. Maybe while I'm doing it. But they may take it down anyway with what I have to say. They're trying to drive us crazy. I believe that now. I think this is all of it intent on driving us nuts. And so we are at the gates of Delirium. Yes, indeed. And we shall be remaining at the gates of Delirium until this whole thing ends. We needed a cleansing of the sickness. Apparently the sickness is now on the ascendancy, and we are losing our composure, as it were. We are losing our ability to remain solid, shall I say, with our feet solidly on the ground. Hey, Stone Reaper, how are you? I'm just here to ensure that we all know we're not going crazy. What they're doing here, they've just, fully thrown out modern science. They've thrown out any sense of any decency, destroying young men's lives. Did you hear about the price of oil? It was minus $10. I saw it at minus $10. I think it went slightly lower than that, but I saw it at minus 10, and I heard, oh. Let me see if I can fix that. How's that? Is that any better? Because we do have a new microphone. Holy cow! Let me see about this. There. How's that? Are we back on with this? There. I got a new headset, and maybe I don't need it. Although I'm going to keep it on just in case somebody drops in the Discord. But yeah, can you hear any better now, Bad Max? I had this is a new microphone situation. I'm getting good. I'm good. Getting ready to go to work. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hardly hear you. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this then. Let me see if I can fix this. I don't know how I'm going to fix it. No, I don't know how I'm going to fix it. There. Let me try that. Okay, how are we doing? Are we getting any better? I just jettisoned the headphones, and I'm hopefully going from the old mic. And advanced properties. Let me. We had a little bit of a feedback loop there. Oh my. Yeah. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, we had feedback. That was nasty. That was really nasty. I hope that didn't come out. Oh yeah, here you're fine now. Good. I hope you didn't get that feedback loop. My God, that was horrible here. Okay, sounds good. I'm back to the old mic then. Well, it was good. The new headphones are good for the games, and I can hear when people sneak up behind me and shoot me. So that's better, I think. Anyway, yeah, we're at the Gates of Delirium. So I listened to Yes, the Gates of Delirium. If you don't know it, it's a great tune, about 22 minutes long. Pretty hard to hum along to, but not impossible. I'm going to say that it's not impossible to hum along to. But I'm gonna scroll the lyrics. Why don't I just scroll that now? If I can find them here. Oh, yeah. Oh, what's that? Yeah, I'm just going to scroll that because it's a song about fighting a battle, and and we're at the gates of delirium right now. I believe we're at the gates of delirium. I mean, you can't believe what's going on. They're talking about all these deaths. No one knows anyone that dies. Anyone that dies is 85 years old with diabetes, and you've got some people who are younger and they have some lung problems. But then again, that happens in normal numbers anyway. For heaven's sakes, what is it? 50% of Americans now have asthma at a young age. And if they get like a head cold or something, it goes down into their lungs. So they're going to get respiratory distress as a matter of course. This is nothing new. This is nothing strange. This is nothing out of the ordinary. And nothing that they say tells us it is. They give us an anecdotal evidence. So they say one person is upset with a respiratory illness, but that's not what we need. We need more than 1 out of 6, because we need a comparison. What was it before and what is it now? Because 50% of people have asthma, so you're going to expect 1 out of 6 if they get a cold or a sickness or something like that. They're going to get it, and this violates Koch's postulates. And I looked into it. If you want to check it out, I recommend you do that. Koch's postulates in 1890, and let me just put it up here. We'll get everything going all at once. Everything going all at once. Why don't I get rid of the lyrics? So this is Koch's postulates. So this is 1890. So this is a scientific method as applied directly to medical science. So this is right after Pasteur and the germs began to be identified. And so Koch said, number 1 here, the microorganism must be found in abundance in all organisms suffering from the disease. So everyone who apparently has COVID-19 should have this microorganism, the SARS-2 virus, in abundance in the body. So it should be in a number of cells. So then you isolate that diseased, you isolate the microorganism from the body, and you grow it in a pure culture. Well, the pure culture might be difficult, but you reproduce it somehow. And so you find the virus in humans, and then you make it appear again in other human cells, right? And so then, which is difficult to do, the new microorganism should cause disease when introduced into a healthy organism. So I'm not sure how they do it for humans, and but what we see is that's not the case, because we don't see the disease. So number 3 is just violated on the face of it, because 50% of the people who apparently have this microorganism do not get the disease. All they have is the microorganism. And this violates Koch's postulates right away. So what are they talking about? They have turned 130 years of modern medical science, they've just thrown it out the window in order to create fear. This is insanity. What are they doing? They're destroying the economy, they're destroying modern medical science, all in order to generate fear. And insanity. I think it's insanity, and the economy is being destroyed. Nobody seems to care. People are being put out of work, and all manner of things are going to happen. There's going to be riots pretty soon. We know that. So that's Koch's postulates. So this is the battle. That's the battle of insanity. Let's take everything that made the West successful in the last 400 years and throw it out the window, all to make some people, happy in their fear. So that's nuts. So here we have the gates of delirium. Short form is GOD. And I recommend people take the 22 minutes and listen to it. It's a great piece of music. I think it's their best, really. And you listen to the drummer in the middle section, and you just say, my God, can anyone else play that? Anyone? I don't think so. My God, Alan. Alan White. Oh my. Anyway, yeah, Bad Max 1962. Thanks for the heads up on the last 3 streams. When I first go up, there's a default on the time, and the default on the time is like 14 hours in the future. And I changed that like right away now, but it doesn't seem to work. So maybe I've got to go in and do it beforehand. Yeah. Yeah, Chad Seward. Isn't that it? At one point it was repeat until you get it, right? Repeat until actually RTYGI. You repeat until you get it. Everyone's got to get it. So yeah, if you don't get it the first time, get it the second time. If not, just pee on it. Oh, look, it's yellow. You have it. I think that's what they want. Oh, nice. I'm not quite sure what that means, Stone Reaper, but that's nice. You take care and enjoy the walnuts and the apples and the firewood for next winter, if it comes. I think there's something strange going on. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think there's something strange. I think we should keep a heads up. I don't think they care that they destroy the economy. I don't know why. All they want is people off the streets. And I think they want people off the streets for some reason. And I think it's better than or more profound than just a tyranny. And so, yeah, Bad Max. See, this is the delirium. This is the insanity. This is the craziness. Every week they add a new symptom so that everything and anything, just to keep people, second guessing themselves and let them, imbibe the fear and keep them distracted and separated and snitching on their neighbors and all manner of, dysfunction. Yeah. Keep the target moving to cause as much confusion as possible. That's it right there. What is going on? We see it. And 45,000 people apparently now have died in the U.S. in the last 2 months. And then again, ordinarily, about 330,000 die every month. That's like ordinary. So in 2 months, it's 660,000 people die in the States, And every country has, roughly the same percentage. So, this is not, 45,000. So they picked 45,000 people who would have died anyway, tacked the name COVID-19 under their death, and, scratched out diabetes, wrote in COVID-19. Scratched out chronic heart disease, wrote in COVID-19. Scratched off gun accident, right in COVID-19. What's next, right? This is it. What are they going to do next? So we know this. So the description, I think, is pretty clear. I think. Well, actually, I don't know what to think. There's a couple of options. One is that it just got out of hand. That it was engineered in some Chinese BSL-4 lab, and some guy wanted to climb his own personal Mount Everest and create a virus that got into everyone. So he made it, and it got out. But China, I wasn't sure what it was and didn't want to be embarrassed, so they denied it. And that, if that's true, then somebody found out and wanted to embarrass China and score some brownie points. So they made it public, and then China got sort of caught up in what they're going to do now, because people said people are dying of it, and people were just dying. But people didn't know what you died of with COVID-19. And so anyone who died with it, and apparently everyone's going to have it. This is one of those viruses. Everyone's going to have it in their body. And it doesn't do anything. We know it doesn't do anything because, anyone who's healthy gets no symptoms at all. And this is in violation of Koch's postulate. If you got it, you're going to get sick. That's it. So, and so then the Chinese government was confused about what to do, so they locked it down and thought that they could handle it that way. But sensing that it could be used as a weapon, Iran, right after South Korea, wanted to, get in the business because they'd done some practice with this, and they had that movie, what was it, The Plague, back in 2012 or 2013. So South Korea did a little bit, but Iran said it's completely out of hand, it's going really quickly, and they had a top politician die and all these people, and suddenly America became terrified. If its enemy is being destroyed by this, well, maybe we can be destroyed. And so Iran aimed this fear pandemic, aimed it right at America, and it caught. And all the cowering aged baby boomers and their snowflake children acted as if the COVID-19 made anyone and everyone sick, and you had to hide, and you had to be a snowflake, and you had to run away, despite the fact that there's no modern science showing any link at all. And all you got is people who go into a hospital and complain about being sick because they are sick. And that's it. And so they've, because they're emotionalists, they're not at all interested in numbers, any anecdotal evidence is sufficient for truth of the whole matter. So they hear one story by one person, they believe it's true, and they can't think their way out because they're snowflakes. And the parents are hippies, turned to yuppies, the worst of everything, really. And so this is what we're into in one story. In the other one, oh, look at that. My headphones told me it's auto shutdown initiated. My God, when your headphones start talking to you, you're hearing voices. Oh my. So yeah, we got these people, and they're living in, they're basking in their own fear. Basting, I should have said. Basting in their own fear. And meanwhile, the power grid of America is going down. Iran, China. Well, China, Iran was under sanctions anyway. But, that's one version. And the other version is that, this is just misdirection because something big is going to happen. I mean, big. And, I don't know what it would be. Again, we're back to the same candidates. Is it something like disclosure? Is it something like the singularity of artificial intelligence? Is it a large, celestial object going to come in and severely damage Earth? And there may be some new information on the third option. So, oh, really, Chad Seward? Percentage of the population that has seen a coronavirus. That means any coronavirus. Because apparently, the common cold is a coronavirus, and some of the flus are coronavirus, and there's a lot of coronaviruses out there. So, yeah. Well, there. I got the lyrics going, and fear destroys. There's so much in that in the lyrics, pounding out the devil's sermon. That's what we're hearing, and we're just we're hearing it day after day, pounded, this devil's sermon of fear and a lack of science. And again, Koch's postulate seems to work for bacteria and other things. If somebody says there's a virus, well, it should do its stuff, right? The viruses should do its stuff. But I'm interested in seeing this, coronavirus under a microscope. If we can't see it under a microscope, why not? Why in the hell not? We can get in and see DNA. We can read DNA. So why can't we read this DNA? I'm not sure how we see it under, an atomic microscope. But it's well, the virus nonsense. I'm 50-50 on it. I haven't researched it at all. Some people are drawing some problems. It's supposedly a singular strand, which might just be the throw-out product of, damaged and old cells or whatever. But we have the possibility of a very basic type of self-reproducing item, self-reproducing entity or thing. We have DNA, which are self-reproducing. We have memes, which are self-reproducing. Some crystals self-reproduce, and viruses self-reproduce via some parasitic symbiotic relationship with a different cell, or not with a different cell, but with a living cell. And so, yeah, the medical field seems to be made up of lemmings. Once they get in, they learn the buzzwords. They learn which drugs to take, and they learn which drug companies give the best benefits, and they're off to the races. And then those surgeons who cut and make you better, they're a whole different breed. So we need to get some clarity on this. But again, there's too many lies. We've been in a tissue of lies, living in a bubble of multiple lies. And I'm ready to go down whatever path truth leads us to. So let us just be clear on this. Most doctors know very little about medicine. Apparently that's right. They just follow the directions of the American Medical Association, and the people up at the top of that have been and are in the pockets of big pharma, and we have a conflict of interest. Probably have since its beginning. So we are now completely at the disposal of people who just don't give a damn. So viruses are settled science. Well, it's only going to be settled if we can apply Koch's postulates, or alternatively Rivers' postulates, as there's some trouble in getting a pure culture. But we need to have some evidence of it, and if we can take some reading of human DNA, and then, well, we should be able to do it with a viral RNA. So let's see what they can do, and if they're going to say I've got a whole petri dish full of viruses with this code, well, send it around. Everyone should get the same code. Publish it. There we go. Yes, I'm not sure, Chad Seaward. You think you hear about this? They talk about this flu vaccine so much. And people get the flu and people get the cold, and they say it's a virus and not a bacteria. They say it's a virus, and viruses generally don't kill their host, because if they did, they wouldn't have any hosts to be in. So evolutionarily, if they killed all the hosts, those viruses wouldn't be around anymore, and probably they're not. Yeah, I don't know what that means. No transfer of elderly from care homes for a number of weeks, not one. 3 weeks. Wow. So, old people in old folks' homes, they die there, right? And they're old and they die there. And they die there of, a number of things. Their body gives out. They're old. Okay, it's going to happen to all of us. And, I didn't think they were supposed to transfer to hospitals. I thought they were supposed to make the patients comfortable, and unless there was some, reason, to end pain, or, some little thing to fix them up, and it'll work for they'll be back working for a couple of years and they want to, well, then that's fine too. But, yeah, you're supposed to leave them in place. However, with the COVID-19, I don't know. Everyone and their dog, anyone who's peed on a piece of paper has COVID-19. So it doesn't mean anything. Anyone can be given a word on a piece of paper. And, I don't know how many old people have respiratory problems, but I'm going to say a goodly 1/3 anyway, isn't it? It's like 1/3 of old people have some type of, respiratory issue. Oh, I see, Bad Max. Now we got 3 to 4 a day. They're shipping 3 to 4 a day into this hospital, doing one thing or another with these people. I see. And now it's 0. Oh, okay. There we go. Now we got a comparison. Well, I don't know. None of it's making sense, right? None of it's making sense here in the gates of Delirium. So, let me stop that. I was going to stop those lyrics. That was getting too much for me. Yeah. Let me put up the chat there. Okay, we put the chat up there in the gates of Delirium. The gates of madness. The portal of insanity. The fount of all ludicrousy. Yes, we have, I think we're entering some place where, it just doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. Wait, what's the price of oil? Let me just check and see if I can get the price of oil. And, because I saw it at -10. Look, it's up to 17 now. My, oh my. And apparently, it went to -10 because there was a lot of contracts. And the contracts come due at a certain time of the month. So, I guess it was like the 20th or something, right? And so, if these tankers aren't unloading some of this oil, and people taking possession of it, like buyers, final buyers, don't take possession, then next month the same thing is going to happen, only worse. So, we seem to be having just a field day here on crude oil, Brent, and gold and silver. And Brent unusually was pretty stable, and then it suddenly went down to 10 and back up to 22. But, that's sort of a high-end oil, I guess. And that's just a different measure for energy. Energy for cars, energy for heating, energy for, big power plants sometimes. So, yep, lots happening here. And we're mixed on everything else. So, a little bit of excitement when the contracts came through. We went that point in the month. And so, put it on your calendar. Mark it on your calendar. We're going to have more insanity as we approach, April, May 20th or something like that. To the cliffs with the lemmings and let them jump off. And let them fly down. And don't you dare scoff. Because they believe they are right. And will, in their flight, land in fluffy pillows in the land of willows. Yeah, oil storage apparently has run out. I don't know. I guess they're pouring it into the ground. I don't know what they're doing now. But they pump it, now they're dumping it. Pump and dump, pump and dump. I never thought we'd be saying it in this type of way. My God. You pump it from the ground, you dump it back into the ground. I guess they stored some stuff in old salt mines and stuff. Maybe it's that, but yeah, we want to listen to doctors. And what was it, about a century and a half ago, judges said, yeah, no, it's good to return a slave to his master. You have to do that. You have to return a slave to his master. At this point, any judge who would say that is a judge that deserves to be hanged. Definitely. Any judge who says it's good to return a slave to his master and it's constitutional to do so, those men should be hanged. Because obviously they're in violation of some law. Hey, it's hostile Mgtow. How are you? Thanks for that comment again. Lovely. You know, we are into it. We are into now. It's past some random, abstraction. Now it's just into pure emotion. Emotions are now there's no argument anymore. It's just emotion react. Emotion react. People are dying, I'm afraid. People are dying, I'm afraid. How many? I don't care. They're dying, I'm afraid. They tell me a number, oh, I don't like that number. And that's it. I'm supposed to be afraid. I'm supposed to be afraid of everything they say. And maybe that's it. Maybe this is what they want. Maybe they want us all to be afraid. And that's it. And once we're all afraid, they'll let it stop. And we can go back to the way it was, because now you believe us. Now you know what it's like to be afraid. Everyone be afraid. We can make you afraid at our whim and beck and call. We will make you afraid. And so, the tissue of lies. Who are the people from Missouri? I thought they were the show me state. Aren't they going about their business doing the normal stuff? I hope they are. I hope they are. Oh yeah, no, that's it. That's it, Joey. Yeah, they got money. Hold on. What is it? Yeah. Yeah, you want me to turn off the light? Okay, I'll turn off the light. Yeah. Hey, Ed. Go down in the fridge and grab one of those, please. I'll get the light. There, sorry about that. Oh, I had to turn off the light. Now it's dark. Now it's dark and scary. It's dark and scary. And, yeah, see? It's dark and scary. See a few lights out there, but it's dark. It's dark. What's that? No egg demand. Holy shit. I was just being told today that the price of eggs where I am is going up, and it's getting harder to get them, but I think that's a temporary situation, but until people realize where the demand is and get to it. Yeah, back in 1998, my college geology teacher told me that the world would run out of oil by the year 2020. Laughing my fucking ass off. Oh my God. Thank God. Oh my. Thank God we know these people just... The future, you don't know where oil comes from, first of all. If you think you know where oil comes from, please go out and verify it and get back to me. Apparently, it's not as easy as we want to have been told. Yeah, stop with the crazy stuff. Oh, it's cold.
Oh, my hand!
Quiet. I'll teach your hand. Okay, it's a cold drink. We will all agree on that. It's a cold drink. Yeah, well, there we go. Hey, thank God for the British in India. Here's to them. Chipper, chipper, totty, totty, and all those other things that sound wonderful and are totally meaningless. Ta-ta. Well, boy, what do you think now? Yeah. We're into a display of power. But it's not a display of power. I don't know what it is. I think we're in a display of an attempt to grab power. And let me come up with this article I read. When was it? Yesterday. If I can get it. Yeah, here we go. China is waging a new kind of war against the U.S. So this was a good one by this guy Gregory Colby via oilprice.com. Yeah, not a normal site for zero hedge, but anyway, Beijing made it clear in 1999 that when it went to war with the U.S., it would be a new kind of war. That was 1999. The People's Republic of China President Xi Jinping then announced in October 2018 that he had begun a new 30 years war with the United States. This is when Trump came in and started saying, no, you can't be doing a trade surplus with the United States at, $1 trillion a year. Okay, but there seemed to be no Pearl Harbor moment, so the rest of the world disregarded the declaration of war. That was a mistake. And so this person, so it's a new form of total war. And I don't think that they planned it. I think it came to them. And they threw it out. Then Iran came and bolstered it. And the terrified Americans fell for it. So it was not a race to the top. It was a race to avoid being first to the bottom. And that's where we're going. And so the first one to hit the first to the bottom is dead. Second one is dead. Third one is dead. Whoever lives lives. And the West is going as fast as it possibly can right down to the bottom. So this is what we are. We're in a new type of strange, strategic, tactical, psychological, and psycho-political operations. We're being used. The alt media is being used, not fully. And various factions within the West are now on one side or the other side of the issue and may move back and forth, trying to, jockey for position. So everyone is trying to jockey for position, use it to their advantage in the West, outside the West. Everyone's involved with this, including the United Nations and those people who want maybe to bring the whole thing down as in some sort of communist get back at the capitalist West and begin again. But nobody's going to come out of this unscathed. The question is, who makes it to the very bottom? If you can avoid being first, and if you can avoid hitting the absolute bottom, and America's getting pretty close now, because now we've got two different factions. We've got the people who are awake saying, no, for God's sake, stop this fear. And, anyway, hey, look, Omar Khayyam, right there. Widespread fear. The fact that societies also fear change means that the appearance of normalcy and continuity of institutions must be maintained as far as possible, and the utilization and revival of familiar iconic symbols, instruments, language, and faces is desirable. And the reality that massive change and threat has already been visited upon society means that substantive planned further underlying change is now more possible. In other words, change has already occurred. Use it to remold it nearer to the heart's desire. There we are. And so, Omar Khayyam, one of the great figures that surrounded one of the capitals of the empire. And this one was when? About 700, wasn't it? No, 1300, 1200, just before the Mongols overrode it in Samarkand. So, anyway, this is a really good article. You can get it on Zero Hedge. China is waging a new kind of war against the U.S. This is, it's a little wordy, but, the whole thing, the main headings are very interesting. So it's a new kind of war, and I thought that, fear, it's a fear pandemic, and it's being aimed at, the United States and the West from their two adversaries or competitors, China and Iran. Isn't that funny? These people develop a weapon, aim it at America, and America says, okay, we now feel damaged. Thank you. Fools. And the sun keeps coming up in the morning, and the birds keep chirping. And this will be the case. So whatever this is, whatever the COVID-19 is, it is not a lot of people dying who shouldn't be dying. They're not dying of COVID-19. Whatever they're dying of, I'm not sure. It's probably what they were sick with before. Because young people are not dying. And this just means that no one is dying. Young people are not dying of COVID-19, which means that no one is dying of COVID-19, because apparently viruses cannot age select. And whatever viruses may or may not be, the standard model of viruses is that they cannot select. So if they're not selecting young people, they're not selecting anyone. So this is where we're at, and we have to get to the bottom of what the nature of viruses is and what the nature of a viral illness would be. We are changing our view of the sun. The sun is not creating power, as Sir Eddington said, from a thermonuclear reaction. It's something very different. That is a nonsensical, unsustainable idea. And so we have to get to the bottom of all of this. We appear to exist in an electric universe. And I'm going to suggest that this is part of a much bigger play. I'm going to go right down to the very basis and say that somebody doesn't want humans to do what humans are doing, which is humans are in fact getting to the very root of their own existence. And we got Commander Gore. Wow, you live in a bubble. The virus is real. I know 2 people, 25 and 33 dead. You know, I know 2 people, not quite those ages, and they're dead too. Okay? Now, I'm sorry that you know 2 people who've died. I know 2 people who have died too. So, did they die of COVID-19 is the question, Commander Gore. Would you like to jump in to the Discord? And hopefully my new headphone setup will work. Otherwise, I'll switch it. And, I can bring you in and we can have a discussion on this. And I got no problem. Here we have anecdotal evidence. So, I'm willing to entertain that, certainly. So, I know 2 people who died. Okay? Good. How dare you? Yes, exactly, Joey. How dare I? And, oh yeah. Yeah. Listen, Commander Gore. I know. Healthy, young people die all the time. They just do. Healthy, young people die. What do they die of? Well, they die. They die of a sickness. Sometimes the bacteria takes them out. There's some percentage. It's not common, but it happens. That 2 people, statistically, that's interesting. Actually, that's pretty interesting. If they died in the last month, then it would be quite interesting, unless you know a whole lot of people. And so, no, he's fine, Joey. I got no problem, Commander Gore. You don't have to drop in. But, again, what were the symptoms? And was the virus, if it was the COVID-19, was it isolated from them? Or were they just given a test And were they given a couple of negative tests and then it turned positive? And did the doctor who signed the certificate get $13,000 for the hospital? Right. These are all pretty reasonable questions. And well, you're saying the virus is real, but we can't see it. You say two people you know, and we don't know you. Two people you know died, okay? And I'm just suggesting that they may have died for very different reasons than COVID-19 virus. You have no evidence to you're just again saying they died of the virus. They died, therefore the virus is real. No, that's not the way things work. Right? What they had is one died at home. Okay, people die at home all the time. There's a horrible story here. He was 19. Just entered university, woke up one day dead. Healthy, just upright kid, off to university. And I'm in a country where no, there's not this wild, rampant partying and stuff. No, nothing like that. God-fearing young man, good family, son. Yep. Dead. Died in his apartment. Right? Took a couple of days for somebody to realize he didn't go to class. And, yep. So the people die. Yeah, it's unfortunate, especially at that age. One would say it's a tragedy. I would say. There's some living. It's not complete, but it's sad. 25 is sad. Yeah. Yeah. HIV is another one of those catch-all things that somebody with diabetes, if they had HIV, died of HIV, not diabetes. Well, I'm not sure whether it's virus related or not. I don't think you know. You may want to believe, and that's what I'm saying. You can believe it, but you don't have any evidence for it. So if you don't have any evidence, why do you want to believe it? A 25-year-old and a 33-year-old die. Okay. What, within the last 2 months? Okay. How do you know what they died of? Did the person doing the autopsy, were they told by the hospital, make it COVID-19, you get a $2,000, dollar bonus at the end of the year because we get $13,000, we'll give you $2,000. Did we know whether that conversation went on? Is that reasonable to assume that if the hospital gets $13,000 that you can expect all the doctors and people who conduct, after-death examination, autopsies, afterwards get a little bonus, a little hard work, extra stuff, take the bonus. So we don't know. But, if the person was with you and they had the fever, and then, initially, the WHO and other groups said it was a respiratory thing, and the main symptoms were respiratory. That was changed. Now it's fever, aches, coughing, stuffed up nose, diarrhea. I've heard a number of other things. Upset stomach, skin patches, I don't know. Just about everything and anything anyone would have to be sick. They're making that now. But initially, it was either white, opaque, glassy lung, and that morphed into wet lung, which was a very tarry sort of phlegm that you couldn't cough up. So those were the symptoms. And so if you were with someone who exhibited the classic symptoms, what we're into in the gates of delirium, that we're in, this type of sentence would be sensible to a lot of people. He has a stomachache, therefore he has chicken pox. You see, that is now becoming sensible to a lot of people. He has diarrhea, therefore he has a respiratory illness. See? That's what we're talking about. And so, this is nonsensical to suggest that because you have, a stomach ache, that you have chickenpox. No, for chickenpox, you have to have those presenting symptoms, right? Chickenpox, the red marks over your body, and you got a fever. Okay, that'll give it to us. With COVID-19, we don't know what in the hell it is. It's everything, isn't it? It's a fever, it's a cough, it's a cold stuff, so you can't smell or taste. It's like a cold in wintertime. It's wintertime. We're just getting out of wintertime. Spring is just broken. And so this is normal. Yeah, doctors often are misguided. They often are misguided, but we have some doctors speaking up that no, we haven't followed Koch's postulate, and so we got to answer those 4 postulates. Well, Commander Gore, it may be some bigger picture. I don't know whether you can predict an EMP. I'm following a couple of space weather channels, and I don't see anything happening out of the ordinary. I don't believe they can predict them. If they have some inside knowledge, it doesn't come from a natural source, if you know what I mean. And in which case, it's much more likely that we are looking at some intervention by a force that someone has tapped into. In fact, I read a Nostradamus prediction. Now, I read them, way back when. I didn't put much credence to them, and I still don't. But this one was, if you thought about it long enough, you could probably write it up. In a year with twins, there's going to be a queen from the east who brings a plague, and then the world economy will never be the same. Yeah, okay. I could probably do that. If you put me down. In a year with three cousins, there shall be a wind from the west that brings unpleasant gases that infect people with the spirit of depravity and hopelessness, and they shall cavort and act all manner of evil. There. So, I could do a Nostradamus if I wanted to. But, I'm not going for an EMP. It definitely could happen, and it could happen almost at any time. The Carrington event, when was it, 1860 something? And apparently there was one in the 1200s and one in the 900s. They suspect by going through some records. It's pretty hard to tell when there's nothing electrical. You need to have something electrical to know that electricity things don't work. So, but there might be signs or something. But definitely in 1867. And was it 67? I don't know. But we can definitely tell today if we get an EMP. I don't think Commander Gore has any proof at all. He was told this. You see, now, Commander Gore, this is just fear porn. Really? Yeah, this is what I'm saying. All this fear. I think living makes death more likely. There, is that enough fear porn for you? So, Nostradamus, he's all, you can interpret it in a number of ways. I'm not giving much for that, but it's sort of interesting. But no, we're not engaged in fear porn here. We're not engaged in whatever it is they want to have happen, because Mgtow, men, and others at this point want to maintain their ability to think critically and clearly, because this is what life is all about for men. For men, it's not to be emotive and scared and cowering under your bed from a some invisible thing that's coming at you, which is probably a narrative at this point. But you want to know what's happening. And yes, you may be startled, and yes, you may scream out when a lion appears around the corner or something. And yeah, you may run for a defensive position. There's no question. The smart thing to do is to gain a defensive position. And we know that the most defensive position is Mgtow ghosting level 4. And that you know what to do. And when this thing breaks, we shall hopefully have all Mgtow men come out of it sane, free, and self-preserved. Now, there may be reasons to stand up for this or stand up for that, and you have to make a choice on whether that offers value. And at some point, there's groups pushing for hopefully more sanity, freedom, and self-preservation within the community, and maybe that's a good thing. That's for each man to decide. But for men to be forced into believing this insanity, this throwing out of modern science, of modern medical science, just throwing it out, of bland beliefs in order to, justify a fear, to justify putting yourself under house arrest. No. I wish it came from Missouri. It would be great. I could say, show me this. And you can't see it. 45,000 Americans dying in 2 months, so what? It's not 45,000 more than normal. No one's ever said that. It's just 45,000. That's nothing. 660,000 die normally. And oddly enough, it appears to be the same number of people. So we haven't gone up to 700,000. No. There's nothing extra happening. The number of cancer deaths go down. The number of diabetes deaths goes down. Everything's going down as COVID-19 goes up. So we are not in a situation of pandemic or epidemic. We're in a situation of people dying, and sometimes people know people who die who really you wouldn't think would die. A 25-year-old, a 33-year-old. But, in any given year, there's somebody, Commander Gore or someone else, who knows 2 people who died at an untimely time for reasons that are not really clear. They shouldn't have died of the sickness they did. They shouldn't have died of that sickness they did. And they died of some sickness nobody knows. Life is strange like this. And, sometimes people drag on forever and ever, never seem to die. And life has not been given them very much. But other people, they get taken too early. And I think we should have a musical break and listen to Billy Joel, Only the Good Die Young. But unfortunately, we don't have that. We don't have, Billy Joel, Only the Good Die Young. Don't have it. But we do have Free. Yeah, free outside of the gates of Delirium. Do not go through those gates. You want to be free. Yeah, I think we can groove on this. We want to be free. We've got it all happening now. We've got the lyrics of one song. We've got the chat. We've got the video, the music. We've got somebody talking over it. This is called media overload. This is called information overload. There's an inner pact between us. So, yeah, I just thought a little musical interlude would be good. I tried something new. I put that one through the mic here. It was coming out of the speakers. How did that sound? It wasn't going direct, I don't think. Or was it going direct? That's another one of my questions. Was that going direct? Or was it just coming through the mic here? Because it sounded great for me, to tell you the truth. I like to hear it. It sounded great. It's a great song. And, I'm promoting The Gates of Delirium by the band Yes, but that's a great song too. But all of it's towards, understanding they're taking us to the gates of delirium. What you're seeing, the destruction of the economy, the destruction of modern medical science, the destruction of community. It's just, what are they doing? And some people are talking about, China launching this and thus are starting some sort of war. I don't think they did, but maybe they did. There's that quote by the head of China. What did he say? Let me put it up there again. My God, what did he say? Let me. Somebody can verify this. This quote from President Xi Jinping, who announced in October 2018 that he had begun a new 30 years war with the United States. And at this point, they were having a 800 million, or 800 billion trade surplus with the United States. This is big time money. Whatever it is big time money. And he was talking about having a war with your biggest trading partner. This is like idiotic. There has to be some sort of balance between your imports and your exports with all your partners, at least over some amount of time. But he talked in 2018 about a new 30 years war with the U.S. That's most unkind. So I don't know. Was that it? And a lot of people, I think the mass media, that's why they don't want to call it the Chinese virus, because then people will get upset with China. And, this is wrong think, right? This is wrong think, this anti-China stuff. It's not anti-China to call it the Chinese virus any more than it's anti-Spanish to call it the Spanish flu. This is idiotic talk. However, if it did come from the Wuhan BSL-4 laboratory, which looks like it does, and it escaped and it's now causing this, then people are going to think. But ultimately, it may not be making anyone sick. We don't know this. I don't believe there's any evidence to show that anyone has gotten sick from the COVID-19. People are sick. Definitely they are. They've always been sick. And people with head colds have existed. And people without any illness at all can have a blood test saying, yes, they have something. And they didn't know it. And maybe they have it, and maybe they don't. But if a virus is supposed to make people sick and it doesn't, then it's not much of a virus now, is it? So it violates Koch's postulates. It's not what's doing it. There is a cause and effect situation in life. And if a bacteria gets in, it's supposed to do it. Now, some bacteria die. So there's, before it succeeds. And so you have to put that into the factor. But ultimately, you should be looking at a very high probability. If you got this, then you're going to have respiratory symptoms. And most people don't. So therefore, it's not. Young people do not die. 0 to 19, 0 deaths. So what are we talking about? If it's a respiratory symptom, what are the respiratory syndrome? SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. Then the WHO should just come out and say what the symptoms are, and they should be respiratory. Fever is not respiratory. Aches is not respiratory. A head cold is not respiratory. So what in the hell is the SARS about? What's the respiratory thing? They have trouble breathing. Yeah, that's a lot of things. What is it exactly about this virus and this pathogen, unlike every other pathogen? And we're getting nothing from these people. They don't care. They just want to take us to the gates of delirium, of insanity, and then say that if you question their emotions, then you are a bad person. So YouTube and Twitter, apparently, if you question emotions of people and demand facts and demand modern science, that somehow this is bad. Well, I stand against those who say that demanding the facts of modern science, that demanding sanity is wrong. No, it's not. I just want evidence. Evidence in reality. I don't want books. I don't want words on pieces of paper. I want to see somebody with these symptoms and be taken through. And then I want to have however many people you say have this illness have exactly those freaking symptoms. If you tell me there's chickenpox out there, I want to see one case of red spots and a fever. And then I want to see everyone else have the same red spots and a fever. And then I'll say, yeah, they've all got the same thing. Okay, let's call it chickenpox. That's good. But we're not seeing any of that. We're seeing, oh, it's a headache. Oh, it's you got a skin rash. Oh, you got diarrhea. Oh, you got a fever. Yeah, you got anything. Just go and clog up the hospitals and make them stressed out. Make it appear as though something's happening, but nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. All you're seeing is control. The government wants you to stay at home for some bloody reason. And this is the scary thing, because the COVID-19 is making no sense. So you're just thinking, well, it's got to be something bigger than this. Nobody would destroy their own economy worldwide, including in the country where I am. I can't believe what they're doing. Where I am, in particular, it's still pretty sane, but I don't know. Are they going to come here and be like, change, the situation? Nobody's sick. Nobody I know is sick with this thing. At all. Yeah, it's an economic warfare. I think this guy in this article, it's a race to the bottom, and it's a race to send your competitor to the bottom without you getting to the bottom first. So if your competitors are all at the bottom first, then you win. Just stop going to the bottom, you'll win. So I think Iran had nothing to lose because it was under sanctions and all this sort of crap. And so if it could bring America down a couple of notches, which it has, it's benefited. Its power graph has just improved. They got hit by 5%. America got hit by 5%. America loses. But what it looks like is Iran got hit by 5% and America got hit by 50%. Iran is suddenly, 3 times as powerful, vis-a-vis America. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a complete power rebalancing around the world. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. And they're not shooting a little pistol in their foot. They're taking shotgun blasts and they're self-inflicting in their own heads. The countries are doing this to themselves. And I was stunned, absolutely stunned, at Black Pigeon Speaks video yesterday or the day before, where he just walked around Shinjuku, and you just look at it, and you just see the center of a city that's very well managed and has been for a very long time, rebuilt after World War II from the ashes, and redid, and so you have the busiest train station in the world in Shinjuku. Any train station, I suppose, but it's a subway train. There's probably other trains. It's a huge station. I've been there. I've been to Shinjuku. I stayed not too far from Shinjuku for a few weeks. And, it's really, you're in the very heart of Tokyo, in the most, come and go place. There's all these, restaurants, and this is a pretty happening spot. There's other spots nearby, and Black Pigeon Speak just walked through on a Saturday night, and it was empty. In fact, all today, I was remarking where I am that there's more people where I am today, in a small village, walking, coming and going. There might be 11,000 people in the village, and another village nearby with about 11,000 people, and just the coming and going was vastly more than what I saw in Shinjuku, which is at the heart of a city of 38 million people. And you're saying, how many millions of dollars in yen did not pass hands today? And how much money does that mean in terms of, jobs? How many people did not work for a year just on one night of this thing being so closed down? And it's night after night after night after night. You can't keep on doing this. You can't keep on doing this. In Tokyo, in New York, in London, you cannot keep on doing this. And unusually, Chad Seward, in Japan, Black Pigeon Speaks said that it's not a law. It's just the government asked people, suggested people stay at home and close their businesses. And, the Japanese people are pretty fucking polite. Not all of the businesses were closed. There was still a restaurant, about one out of every probably 100 restaurants was open, 1 out of 100, and had, a couple of people or something, not many. But it was closed. There should be hundreds of thousands of people there, and I could have counted the people on my hands and feet. That was it. And just the amount of money that went missing, that didn't happen. All the salaries, all the bonuses, all the, payment for food, all the velocity of exchange, which is such a big part of our economy, it's just gone. A casino economy. I don't know what it is now. It's apparently we're moving into a communist economy. The government of America is buying up all types of bonds. AAA, they're buying up, and because a lot of them were downgraded, they're pretty soon going to buy AA, and then single A, and then triple B, and then all the way down. Pretty soon, anyone's going to just say, "I'll write an IOU on a piece of paper. Give me $1 million," and they'll just give $1 million. And at that point, the money will be, I don't know, worthless. This is the gates of delirium when a barrel of oil is worth negative $10, right? A barrel of oil is worth negative $10. This is nuts. Right? This is nuts. Now, we used a lot of oil previous to this, but now we're not. And I don't know. People are talking about even if, some of the governors, and maybe Trump or maybe not Trump, but some of the governors try to restart the economy, are people going to go out and do stuff? Really? Now, there's some people who are awake and say that there is no such thing as a COVID-19 virus making people sick. There may be a COVID-19 virus, but it's not making people sick. And, we don't care one way or the other. I'm healthy, and I'll stay healthy until I get sick, and then I'll get sick. And somebody will make me pee on a piece of paper, and it'll turn yellow, and then you'll know. And then you'll know. Anyway, yeah, we're into a helicopter money economy, and that does not last. That is not sustainable. Yes, Chad C, we're hypnotized into voluntarily giving up rights. Yes, it's hypnotized. It's a magical thing. It's mesmerism. It's a paranoid hallucination. It's a delirium. And deliriums are normally sort of dark and unpleasant, and that's what we're moving into. We are at the gates of delirium, where the battle now is just to recognize they are trying, I believe they are trying to drive sane people crazy by what they are doing. they are trying to drive everyone insane. And I think they are trying to do this for reasons that cannot be made clear. But I think it's imperative that men remain sane and remain questioning the very heart of our experience here in the universe. I think this is the big picture that they want to change, ultimately. I think that, unusually, the attempt at the lockdowns is an attempt to keep the roads free and empty so that the government can do things much more easily, like ship people here and make people disappear here and move them there for reasons that they maybe know, or maybe someone else knows. And maybe this is a time for a culling of the herd. And yes, Bad Max 1962. As a crazy old guy that has been looking at stuff critically for 20 years, I'm leaning towards an earth-changing event coming this way. I too. Everything. A crazy old guy. Call me that. Call me that if you like. I studied philosophy for 6 years at university. Many, many, many more before and after that period of time. And so crazy, I think, goes with the territory. I'm hardened in my dedication to modern science to help me understand the world and the way that the world works. But on these other issues that philosophers deal with, the issues of metaphysics, how it is that we have a universe, epistemology, how it is that we know about the universe, and in fact everything else. And other questions about our very being, ontological questions about our being. What does it mean to be? All of these questions, yeah, these are crazy. You know, you can choose a magical answer and then just go about your daily business, and maybe that's good for a lot of people, because if you think about it too much, you find that that we're into a change that's not a normal change. We're not into a mere political change, although there are political elements. We're not into just an economic change or a social change, although there are economic and social elements. We are not just into a religious change, although I think there's religious elements. And we are into competing interests, and so there's psychic and psychological elements of people battling to gain ascendancy and gain some advantage, because they're that's what they're doing. They're searching for power, money. So these people are involved in this. But in all of it, there's something big happening. Nobody would let this go on so much. Somebody would step in and just say, there's no evidence of this. All there is anecdote. There's these numbers. 45,000 dead of COVID-19. Well, how do we know? It's confirmed. What does confirmed mean? And 660,000 people die anyway in the same period of time. So why aren't these 45 some of those 660? Because you're not saying it's 700,000 dead. You're saying it's 45,000 dead. Well, 660 normally die. So why isn't it 620 and 45 and we're at the same number? Well, they're not explaining anything. They're just trying to invoke fear, and through fear, control. Yeah, well, Bayman, I would say, if I were him, I would have mobilized 1 million troops too, at this point. Yeah, no, I think there's something to that, Bad Max. We're being given family time and information until we're not. There's talk now, there's going to be darkness, and then there's going to be an event. And the event is not going to be pleasant. Oh man, that was nice. I'm going to go for another one. Anyway, I look at the Mgtow event of 2018, November 2018. It's an unexplained geological shake. They first tried to explain it in one way, as a collapse of a lava dome underground, but that didn't pan out. Then they tried to explain it as the birth of an underwater volcano, but that's never been, the geological signature of that, and they can't even find the underwater volcano. And there's dozens of underwater volcanoes, and we've never had this signal before. Something else is happening underground. We have apparently all the sounds in the sky, which are probably related to some event that's happening underground. And we've never drilled down more than 12 kilometers, so what's down below 12 kilometers, nobody knows. So we don't know what's going on down there. We get funny rumblings, we get funny sounds in the sky, we get a complete and total fabrication of something for fear and control purposes. And, we are allowed to contemplate what's happening. And we look at old texts. This channel does not hold to the Council of Nicaea. Let me just repeat that again. If you wish to hold to the Council of Nicaea, well, go for it, but I don't. They couldn't agree, first of all, and I wouldn't agree with their decision, any of them. There was a lot of texts floating around at that time. This was 300 AD, and a number of these early Christian church people got together to solidify the holy book, and so they added stuff and they threw stuff out, and they sort of agreed on a lot of it, but not all of it. And then that's been the case ever since, but some of these other texts are more informative. And there's other texts that are really should be standalone, and everyone should be required reading, really. The Book of Enoch should be required reading. What he's telling us is that there are other forces and other entities that have had interaction. And the Pentagon has recently admitted this with the 2004 Tic Tac event and the 2015 Gimbal event, and then the subsequent forming of a space corps, which would have the effect of centralizing this information and moving it maybe from black ops into regular military protocols, which can at least have some oversight. That these events may be stimulating a reaction, that somebody wants something to happen or somebody wants something not to happen. So there may be other issues which would cause such total dislocation of every country, of every person within every country. There's a big movement on, and apparently, people want to play a part here. Maybe they know something. Maybe they want to be a part of the in crowd. So they're playing their part to make this COVID-19 pumped up. Yeah, it's crap. It is crap what we're being fed. We're not being fed decent modern science. We're being fed anecdotal fear porn. We're not being given decent information. We're not being told whether Koch's postulates have been fulfilled here, or with the first SARS, or with MERS. And with the other four zoonotic coronaviruses, there's only 7 in the history. And, we want to decide what viruses are, because apparently there's 4 zoonotic coronaviruses that can make animals sick and make humans sick. but we can test this in some way. And this took 100,000 years to get this thing happening, to get 4 zoonotic coronaviruses. Well, in 30 years, since we've had the power to do viral engineering, to manipulate DNA, in 30 years we've had 3. So it's 100,000 years for 4, and then 30 years for 3. So you don't think that's funny? Sort of a coincidence. I find it a deep coincidence that the minute after we get, looking at the timeline, the minute after we get the power to engineer viruses, we get SARS-1, we get MERS, we get SARS-2. Boom, boom, boom. Took 100,000 for 4, took 30 years for 3, and that's normal. Nothing to see here. Move along. Move along. So, I'm not sure what these viruses do. I'm not sure how they act. I'm not sure whether you can take a picture of it or you can just manipulate it, whether you can just get the amino acid code, the genotype. Maybe there is a phenotype once it gets into a cell. Maybe it's difficult to see inside a cell. I'm not sure of these issues. Apparently now we have genetic editing and genetic engineering. This is common. We can see it. We can see the results of it. Yeah. Yeah, Siebert. I know. Some people get off on a lot of crazy fucking things. And this is some of it. I think they're grooving. I think they're grooving on their fear. It's like they get a thrill from the fear. Is this some new type of masochism or something? And maybe there's fear sadists and fear masochists. And what we see are women. And women are, I think, for the most part, they're safety conscious to the nth degree. And maybe they're fear masochists. Some of them. They like to be afraid because it gives them that reason why they need to depend upon men or the government. And so, yeah, they'll just thrive on the fear. Give them more fear. Pump up the fear. Yeah, Ebola. At least Ebola had symptoms, right? You got a fever, and 2 days later you start bleeding from every fucking pore in your body. And you'll be lucky to survive that. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah, well, there's a friggin' symptom that you can't deny. Yeah. So there it is. And could be a little bit of blood, could be a lot of blood. If it's a lot of blood, you dead. If it's a little bit of blood, well, maybe. That's right. Yeah, I'm not sure about the virus. I don't have an electron microscope here, so I can't see it. I can't do the genetic coding of it. I don't have that machine either, but apparently people do. But I don't know. It's not causing sickness. The COVID-19 is not causing sickness. The statistics that I've received from the CDC say the 0 to 19, they don't die. Well, they should die. Everyone should die then. It's not an immune system thing because a newborn kid doesn't have a great immune system. It has an okay one. It could be better, it could be worse. And, 25-year-old, it could be good, it could be bad. We don't know. So if you get it, you die. You get it, you die. In basically the same percentages. Hey, Desmond, congratulations. Facebook banned you a month ago. Hey, Twitter last year. And, you're doing well on Gab AI. Well, there we are. Go to Gab AI. There's people over there. I'm stuck here on YouTube for reasons I don't fully understand. I got into this YouTube thing fairly recently, and I'm not ready to migrate yet. What will it take? I don't know what. They haven't dorked me. They dorked me a little bit. I've had 1 or 2 videos taken down. I've had some copyright, not strikes, but copyright warnings and shit. And they're always, I put music in the background, they take that. Well, it was never monetized, so I don't care. And now it can't be monetized because of my handle being Mgtow values. So it's not like anyone's making money on this, and that's fine too. I just like to be a little friction here. Coming out to the world, to men. Yeah, there we go. I know, they don't know who they're messing with, Desmond. They just don't know who they're messing with. The shit's going to hit the fan. And then they're going to regret doing this sort of bullshit. You got to let smart people talk. That's just the end of it. You may disagree with what they have to say, but, if you lose it, you lose it. And you're hopefully going to lose to, what's real in the world. And what's real in the world is that if a pathogen causes an illness, you can test for it. And the methodology of this testing is basically a standard scientific method in a particular case called Cox's postulates. And you just do that, and then we all know. This thing basically causes that thing, as much as we can determine in reality, because of David Hume's, very clear and very well explained and verifiable in the world, pointing out that we do not see causation in anything. So, our standard is not that we see causation. We are not that type of entity. Our consciousness is not such that it can see causation. Now, I don't know what can. I don't think there is any entity in this reality which can see consciousness, not even the demiurge. And the demiurge is the creator of the physical world. It is a bootstrapping consciousness which, in the function of the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment, there is a foreshadow position. And from that foreshadow position, a consciousness may become aware of itself in reality, then collapse itself in that reality. And this is probably what the demiurge did in order to create this physical universe. And so the demiurge would have this feature, but I still don't think that it has every possible power of consciousness. No. There's still things it cannot do. And one thing it doesn't know about is its own death. It knows its own birth, but not its own death. So this species, if they are running the whole show via their allies, which would be the Tic Tac, which we saw in 2004, and the Gimbal, which we saw in 2015, and all the other, the Foo Fighters of World War II, and they still appear, and all the other, atmospheric, unidentified atmospheric phenomenon, UAPs or UFOs, all of these going back 6,000 years, whatever they are, and the Black Triangle seems to be the ringleader, so that may be the demiurge. They can each have facilities of consciousness like humans do, and I think this is part of the problem. Humans are awakening to their power of consciousness, and somebody wants to shut it down, and they're doing it. So it's, I think, important that men remain clear and sane during this time, so that when it ends, the researches can continue, and that there will be questioning as opposed to blind observation and blind allegiance, because this gets nowhere. It maybe gets the demiurge what it wants temporarily, but ultimately, if humans hope to be free, they have to understand the universe that they're in. And if you think that the universe was created by the Big Bang, then just please tell me, what were the conditions necessary to allow for or cause the Big Bang? What were those conditions? Really? Unless, it was a magical act and had no cause, then, oh, and this is the problem. This is the scientism. Modern science failed to adhere to its own principles and went into magic. And, philosophers, we stumble across magic here and there, and we have to, make a decision on it. And if you're going to be a magical philosopher, well, then that's the kind of philosopher you are. You're a magical philosopher. I'm not. And so I look for evidence in the world. I want to see things in the world. And if it's not justified, if it's not evident, if it's not demonstratable in the world, then I'm not going to rely on it. I may say artistically, and in some lucky way, there's probabilities of luck that, a color-blind person can guess the right color of trees in a painting at certain points, and, they'll just guess and get it right. And sometimes people just guess and get it right. But that's not knowing. That's just guessing. And so it's good in this world not to guess, unless you have to. And what you want to do is retain sanity, freedom, and self-preservation, because they are pushing us all, herding us like cattle, like sheep, herding us to the gates of delirium, past which there is no escape. You shall be driven insane. Yeah, by those fear sadists and fear masochists. They love it. Yeah. Oh, yes. You see, we don't need physics anymore. Just Building 7 just collapsed of its own because it felt unhappy. You see, it's the unhappiness of buildings that we had not previously considered important. Now we know. You must consider the happiness of buildings, the happiness of the cars. It's not the driver always. No, the car, too, has to be considered equal in all accidents. And if the car is feeling unhappy, well, then there's nothing the driver can do. It just hits and hits. Yes. Well, Mike, I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say that there is a recursive loop down at the bottom of the rabbit hole. In fact, many places there's a recursive loop where it could go on for infinity, but you just get out of the loop and you go back out, and it's like a cul-de-sac. But I think at some point the universe has a how as to the universe's being here. And that how is answerable. I think it's answerable by humans, given, a little bit of luck. I'm going to say I have the answer, but okay, I'm just one of many. I think my answer is great. I think my answer could not have been made previous to 1999, because the first quantum eraser delayed choice experiment didn't happen until 1999, in which we saw this foreshadow position, from which there is information about an event that has not happened. And it's not traveling backwards in time. That's impossible. And so what we do is we get to see how entanglement and how consciousness can act when it's at the very edge of our experience of reality. And we don't often get there. In fact, it's very difficult to get there. You got to set it up just right. And but if you're there and there's nothing else, and you have that type of consciousness, then you're there, and you imagine it, and suddenly you're in the middle of that reality. This is not a human capacity, because this doesn't happen to humans. I've never had it happen to me, anyway. I believe I've been here all along for my 56 years. I don't think I created a new universe last night and popped into it. I don't think that at all. I remember Monk music. I remember him pissing me off. I remember that. Oh, no, not him. I'm confusing it with some other. Woohoo! Hey, Armathor, how you doing? Stefano Dog, welcome. We're trying to, I think, just recognize or trying to push us through the gates of Delirium, and this is not a good place to be. I think they're trying to drive us crazy. Negative oil prices. This is nuts. I mean, when I saw that, I walked to the shelf and I looked for, an economics text. Luckily, I didn't have any. Otherwise, I just would have ripped it up. I would have ripped it up. I studied economics way back in 1982. I think I took my first one. Anyway, I wound up getting a minor degree in economics, and this would have been insane. Negative oil prices, it would have been, and other things. Negative interest rates, so much. It's just insanity. Even looking at what happened in the Great Depression and other situations, we had good data going all the way back, and I would have been thrown out of the class talking about negative interest rates. The professor would have said, "You're insane. Get out of my class. Don't come back." Negative oil prices, I would have been booted. It makes no sense. Anyway, no, we don't. We don't have to stop talking about Monk at all. In fact, this is the time for men to pull in their strength. I say pull in. It's an inward. Gathering. It's a gathering of this strength, because I think we're going to need it with whatever happens. More and more people. I seem to be on the planet of the body snatchers. I see people's bodies being snatched, or at least their brains, and they're falling into fear. They're thriving in this self-pitying fear. Oh my God, I love it. A Purple Swan event. Yes, it is. It's past all point that I think even Talib would have recognized. There's no sense to any of it. And you've been reading this for a number of years, how a lot of people in the market saying, "I'm getting out. It just doesn't make any sense anymore." Buy the dip. That sort of makes sense. But Stefano Dog, 47,000 plus dead in the U.S. with no end in sight. Thank God. To that, Stefano Dog, I say, thank God 47,000 people died. Otherwise, if people didn't die in the United States, they probably wouldn't die anywhere else. And, we're not going to die? Not that I want to die, but at some point, I've had enough life. But in 2 months, normally in the States, in 2 months, 660,000 people die. Okay, so that's normal. So what in the fuck? Who cares about 47,000? Why don't you say 660,000 plus dead in the U.S. with no end in sight? There. Now, of that 660,000, 47,000 are said to be COVID-19. Last year, it was 0 with COVID-19. This year, of the 660, 47,000 are COVID. And next year, if they come up with some other name and get people to pee on a piece of paper and the paper turns yellow, then they'll put that number down for those people. So, this is just fear porn. If they said now, normally it's 660 and now it's, 707,000 or something. Oh, okay. Well, now we're up 47,000 from normal. Why? Well, there we have something to explain. But we don't. What we see are deaths from diabetes going down. We see deaths from cancer going down. We see hospitals getting paid $13,000 to declare it a coronavirus 19 death. Oh, so we got a conflict of interest. We got numbers that are stable. We don't see bodies in the street. We don't see a pandemic. We don't see deaths going up. We just see fear porn. Fear porn and more fear porn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, my God. Yeah, teleporting. That's a nice dream. Yeah. Yeah, join Spock. Yeah, Spock, please come back. Take me with you. Take me with you. Yeah. Well, see, that's it, Mad Max. I think we need dream warriors, and so I think we need more dream warriors. And there's great power in dreams, and one of the powers is to just throw back all of this stupidity. Just get rid of it all. So I'm going to make a pact with you tonight. When I go to sleep, I'm going to become a dream warrior, and I'm going to attempt to eradicate this inculcation of fear into our space. Not that I think that some non-human consciousness is feeding off of this, but, stranger things have probably happened. And there was that Star Trek episode, after all. The best thing to do is to laugh. And so it's good to laugh. I'm hopefully, in some way creating some humor. But I'm promoting the song Gates of Delirium by Yes. If you have 22 minutes and you don't have much to do, it's a great song. In fact, it's more than great. It's the only one with Patrick Moratz on keys, and it really is stunning. And I think it's Alan White's showcase, the drummer. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And if I play it, they'll shut me down. YouTube will be here. The Yes publishers will be here, because Yes is just such a great band. And Chris Squire's now dead. Thank God he died before COVID-19. Yeah. He and Neil Peart, the pair of them, making music in heaven. I'm okay. Yeah. Well, maybe they are. Who the hell knows? There's a way to skip by death, actually. You have to figure out what death is, first of all, and then figure out what this space is that we're in, second of all. Then figure out how consciousness is able to become collected in the vessel of a human body. And then when you're about to die, what you do is you sort of pass on that consciousness. It's like occasionally you get a football player, he passes the ball to himself. Is that possible? I think you can do it in rugby or something, but or you can do it in soccer, obviously, but it's something like that. So upon death, the old vessel dies, and so it had collected a piece of consciousness, invested it with certain features, and so when you die, you sort of bump that forward. You then run alongside it in the way that consciousness is able to do, and you go back and you catch it on the other side. So good luck doing that, by the way. It's good to get it in a form that you can use, and there's a number of them out there, a number of those forms. So anyway, the birth of the universe appears to be set, but the death doesn't. So if you're going to pray to anything, if you're going to pray to an almighty powerful God, that may be possible, but it's on death. And it's not our death, it's anyone's death, it's anything's death. And so that all-powerful God then becomes all-powerful at death, at the time of death. And so, seek for protection then. And if people get the picture that maybe humans don't want to go through the gates of delirium, and you pray to God to prevent any more bodies from being snatched into the abyss of fear, into the fear pandemic which has been created. You know, you hear it. You hear this. I read twice in the last 2 weeks. It's going to be once a week now. Somebody who said that the coronavirus isn't true died of the coronavirus. What sort of bullshit is that? So you got two 60-year-old men. One was 60, one was 61. They died. Well, I didn't hear about them, standing up saying they were against, doing all this coronavirus lockdown until they died. And I don't have any evidence that they had coronavirus. They were old, 61, 60, not young. We expect how many 60-year-olds to die normally without the COVID-19 this year? How many? 1 million? 500,000? 200,000? 365,000 is one a day. 1,000 a day, right? 365,000 is 1,000 a day. And so how many of those are going to be saying that this is not a real thing? You're going to get a lot. And you expect one of them to die every couple of days. So this is the anecdotal foolishness, right? So how many people that said it was real died? Well, maybe a lot, because real people die all the time. 660,000 Americans die every year, every 2 years, every 2 months. And, you just figure it out. Yeah. Everyone has to die within 80 years, right? Everyone in your country, give or take, right? And so you just divide it. Done. And so this way, you get to figure out how many people die, how many people are born. You can do the math on the births, because birth and death's almost equal. You can look it up. But, just rough and ready. You're getting 330, roughly, 1,000 people in America dying every month. And, okay, some are unfortunate. And some are old and have lived a good life, and that's great. And some have peed on a piece of paper and it turned yellow, so they have COVID-19. That's it. Monk Music, how are you? Covtards. Yeah, there's covidiots and there's covtards. And, these people are more concerned with the fear pandemic than they are with actual people dying, for God's sakes. As far as I can tell, even in the reported stuff, it was only, 2% or something. And even then, it was like hopelessly skewed towards older people, which it is anyway, This is just like normal. You're looking at normal death charts and you're saying there's something special about it. This is the gates of delirium. Oh my God, look, it's a green tree. We're all going to die. Run for the hills. What in the fuck? Leave me alone. You're nuts. You can't say we're nuts. We're all concerned about the green trees. They're coming to take it over. We can't cut them all down, so we'll just have to run away. Yeah, got everything in order. Well, good. And you went back to see your friends at the place, and hope that's going well. And everyone's in good health there and not coughing all over the place, having fevers. Saturday night fever. And it's not even Saturday night. Yeah. Or, any one of the other 100 symptoms of COVID-19. I hear a hangnail has just been added. If you have hangnails, it's probably COVID-19. Yeah. Yeah, where's the depopulation? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the depopulation people. Well, the depopulation people are not out holding ticker tape parades because there's no depopulation. The normal amount of people are dying. It's just some of them are now dying of COVID-19. They're not dying of diabetes. They're not dying of cancer. Thank God. What? No, sorry. Doesn't matter. It's just a word on a piece of paper. It's just a little P on a little piece of paper first. The paper turns yellow, so then a word appears on another piece of paper, and that word is COVID-19. Yeah. We should maybe put out an invitation for all the depopulation people. I got a cousin. I think he's a depopulation person, but Canadians can be that way, right? Fewer humans, more animals. Yeah, okay then. The earth should be running around with animals. Well, I say fuck animals. No, I don't say that. Sorry, that's what the Young Turks guy says. No, I say, well, the animals can have some space, and I'm going to take the best space. Sorry. That's it. And, I like animals. It's good to have them in the wild. I like them in the wild. But, they're not going to have as much space as they had. Sorry. And when humans die or leave the planet or whatever it happens. Oh man, Stefano dog. See, that's it. The Mac has a virus. And it's called the truth virus. Whenever you're involved with truth, it shuts down. That's it. Where are all the wonderful people? Isn't that a song? Where are all the depopulation people? Yeah, they're probably in their covens, celebrating quietly, ringing bells and burning incense of some types, inviting people to pass through the gates of delirium into a world of pain and frolic, of addiction to self-loathing. Yeah, now the Pope's saying, we've abandoned nature, and so God's unhappy. Or maybe God's doing this, Pope. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe God's fed up that there's so many people who don't go to church and give a lot of priests money, right? Maybe that's it. But, if you give priests money, all they do is buy male prostitutes and, encourage young boys to, well, the drill. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to use the word drill. But what's going to happen, Popey boy. Baby. No, I shouldn't be saying all these words. Holy shit, it's hard to talk about this. Oh, there's another one. Oh my, I can't talk about anything because the Catholic Church is so absolutely and totally depraved. You should shut your fucking mouth. You have no idea. All you seem to do is bugger little boys and each other. You're a depraved institution. And if there's anyone in any position of power in the Catholic Church, for God's sakes, get out. What are you doing with those sickos? I mean, they're absolute sickos. Would you shake their hand? Would you really want to? Yeah. Yeah, nice one, Bad Max. Yeah, see, that's good. Yep. Just fattening them up for Christmas time. Yep. I belong to people eating tasty animals. Yes, that's good. And I think bacteria would like to join that club because they eat a lot of humans. A little bit at a time, a little bit here, just enough. And then the human dies and other bacteria take over. Yeah, and it goes around in circles. Do-do-do, 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 go around circles. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. Yeah, but yeah. Get those deers and turkeys fattened up. There's nothing like a wild turkey. As long as it's not too gamey. I had a gamey turkey. It wasn't great. You want it free range, but you don't want it like really running around. Yeah. No, I don't know why the nuns wear habits. I don't know why it's called habits. It's just, it's all the way up to the neck. If you put the face veil on, they look like fucking Saudi women or something. Yeah. But it might just be a one piece, and you do the right zip or the button, and the whole thing falls off. But when the hell would you do? Because all the priests are, into buggery, if you know what I mean. Yeah. No, the Pope has a lot of things. I think they're all daft. They've been entrusted with something, and we're not good boys, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Yeah. No, those 501c churches. Why are you in the service of Caesar? Yeah. The grounds of the convents are littered with dead, buried babies. Yeah. Yeah. God, isn't that something? The need to hide the early pregnancy. No, that's so sick. No, just the depravity just never ends. Yeah, I suppose the tight-fitting dress. I'm not pregnant yet. But then you wear the habit. You're not supposed to ask if I'm pregnant. Hey, that's not tight-fitting. Are you pregnant? Oh my God, what a thing to ask a nun. Yeah. I wonder what a nun would say if you said that. Yes. I hear that those habits, that you nuns wear, are loose-fitting to hide the pregnancy until they're aborted, and the grounds of the convents are littered with dead, buried babies. I wonder what the nun would say to you. I think that's disgusting and vile, and those people should rot in hell, and anyone who supports them should rot in hell. What do you think? I don't think I want to talk to you anymore. Yeah, that's because you're one of those hate mongers from hell, aren't you? Yes, wear the habit. Be the hateful bitch from hell. Yeah. Weirdos are in power. Yeah, I know. But it's supposed to be a community money. The community can spontaneously create money. Although at some point, you've got to have a final arbiter of contracts. And money in a transaction implies a contract. And so this was the purpose for the king. It's the final arbiter of contracts, and everyone just agreed that the king would appoint judges. And this goes all the way back to Mosaic law, the law of Moses. And Moses is pre-Abraham, so there's a name for Mosaic law. But you have to put in judges, and the judges are the final arbiters of contracts. And if you have that, really, you basically got peace in the land. So that's right. And now they chop up the aborted babies and sell it piece by piece to the highest bidder. And the people all make huge amounts of money, drive the Lamborghinis. And they talk about it on videos and brag. Oh, yes. We'll just take that. It's good to get some profit. I can buy a new Lamborghini. Yeah, the sickness when you eat your own children. When the community eats its own children, this is what happens. The community is taken to the gates of Delirium and thrown through. I don't know what sort of abattoir resides just within the gates of Delirium. But it's not good. The sickness outside is bad enough. But through the gates of delirium is nothing that one would want. And yet there is a battle to be had there. And you can look up the lyrics to the song by Yes and understand that while there is sanity and freedom and self-preservation, as long as there is sanity, freedom, and self-preservation, there is hope. And, the issues of men and women now being pushed into dire straits, dangerous time for men. If you hear about any content producers suggesting that men should let down their guard, please advise. This is not a good time to let down your guard as a man, because the laws have not changed at all. Men are still as vulnerable to a rampantly feministic judge as ever. And these people are vicious, they are heartless, they don't care. Crisis, no crisis, whatever. That woman says she felt afraid. You are finished. Your life is over. And now she's got your money. You've got a crisis. She gets you kicked out of your home. This can all happen within 2 weeks. So you a fool if you think that being nice in this climate is anything but madness. No. I think, there's some talk about women, crying because they don't know how to pluck a chicken. Who the fuck wants to listen to this? Who the hell wants to listen to this? This is stupidity. Whatever these women do, that's their business. It doesn't matter. They're not going to change. If they do change, it's temporary, and the laws will allow them to change their mind. After a week of contrition, they're back to their own, entitled ways. They make that phone call. That phone is still always picked up for women. And the paddy wagon comes out, and you're shoved in the back and say bye-bye to your life. So they'll just take all your stuff, and then they say, well, we don't want to put you in prison, but don't even think about going back to your old house. The woman lives in it now with her Chad and Tyrone and Rodrigo and Jean-Guy, and you are not welcome there. In fact, even Wang Chung has come over. Yeah. You stupid loser. So, yes. This is it, Stefano Dog. Extreme social distancing, because these women will, we are programmed as men to respond to their wily ways. But it is madness. It is destruction. How many men, what percentage, in how many weeks, how many months, how many years? You know what the odds are. You know what the odds are. This is not going to stay. And it doesn't matter. You put yourself up into the system. You invite the government into your bedroom. You are asking for absolute trouble. So, yes, the only reason why they're alive, they drink the baby's blood. Yeah. Bad Max, I'm just looking at that. Yeah. Hey, what do you got under that habit, baby? You got your stripper costume on. Might give us a little show right now. I'll flip you a few fivers in the bra strap, baby. Yeah. Ooh, a bowl of sweet peas and honey. You know what I made, Stefano Dog? I made a green pea soup. Really nice. Really nice. Surprising. Split pea soup is pretty common. But this was green pea. Really nice. Easy. cook it, blend it, add a little of this, add a little of that. Got to put the cream in, and yeah, magic. It's like magic. Anyway, I think we're going to end the stream now. It's getting late my time. I want to thank everyone for coming in to this, hopefully, a couple hours of sanity. And maybe I should come up. I had this thought, and the empire has fallen. Long live the empire. And this is what they say when the king is dead, right? The king is dead, long live the king, because the minute the king dies, there's another king taking its place. So this empire looks like it's falling. And it looks like it's fallen. There's a new empire. I don't know who's running it. But as we saw with the discussion of change, don't fear change, but there is a new master. And until that master makes itself clear, with its new fiat currency or whatever it's going to give us, we don't know. So practice clear Mgtow ghosting level 4, because the empire has fallen. Long live the empire. And yet we don't know what it looks like. We don't know how it's going to act. And maybe it'll be a motivist, like this ending empire. And if that be the case, then it's not going to last long, because if you deny reality, which shall not be denied, then you will find out the punishment in short order. And I think we have worries that they're not crazy, that they're actually hiding behind this craziness, and we got 2 weeks to live before something bad happens. So check out that asteroid on Atlas. Is it going to crash into us? Something else? Keep your eyes open, because nothing makes sense. This thing does not make sense on its own. That they're pushing it so hard, nothing makes sense. Something else is probably happening. So keep your eyes open. Take care. Babylon has fallen again. Yes, indeed. Anyway, we're going to end the stream now. And again, that warning. If you find any Mgtows, heading back to the plantation and wanting to take men back with them, let us all know so we can do something. Take care, men. Take care.